All right, welcome back to the BetterWealth Show. And in this video, we're going to keep going with the reaction video where I've pulled Caleb into the studio and we're reacting to what kids say about money. Now, in their last video, it was what kids thought about what money was. And we talked a little bit about our back history and some of the things in which we've learned about money. But this one I'm really interested in because this has such a tie to who we are. And our goal is to partner with parents, for me, because it's my heart with children, is to partner with parents and do this journey of teaching our children about money, no matter the age, having those conversations to teach them about money. And so I've pulled Caleb in the studio to react to this one. And this is a very interesting question that we're going to see is why is money important? And here at BetterWealth, that's a huge thing that we teach. But I want to see what kids from around the world are saying about why money is important.
Why money is important. And if you have kids, make sure to ask them that and put it in the comments on what their answer is. I'm just curious to hear what your kids, how old they are and what they're answering. This is the first time I'm going to see this video, so I'm excited. Taking notes.
Ik ben gekoud en dan gaan we niet essen en gewoon wat het tegen. Dan gaan we even gewoon laten.
Money is very useful in terms of using it and saving it.
Dit is belangrijk omdat je kan niet zonder geld leven nie. Jy nodig geld om kos te kan koop, 'n dak oor jou kop te hê en al die goed wat jy nodig het om te kan lewe.
Money is important because we get food, we get the house, and we get the car.
Ngoba asikwazi ukuthenga izinto esizifunayo ingekho imali.
Als you get poor and you live in a bush.
Either you're poor or you live in a bush.
Yeah, I mean, perspective is really interesting because a lot of these kids, it doesn't seem like any of them are from the United States, which tells you how universal this concept of money is. What's your initial reaction?
You know, I love seeing the kids. I think my favorite one is the one who you could tell mom was filming and they didn't know what to say.
Yeah,
they're like, I don't know what to say.
Can you re-ask that, please?
Because I think that term important is hard to place on money when other things like family and the definition of that comes along as they know what's important, but to put why money is important stumps some of them. And so it was really neat. Again, we had the same common theme as we did with what money was. They're observing that it's to buy things. And in this one, if you don't have money, you kind of can't live was some of them that came.
That's the common word that I kept writing down is live, can't live. And it's interesting because one of our themes is intentional living. And it's very interesting because intentional living is our metric for financial freedom. And so one of the things that you can do, regardless of what your age is figure out, what does that look like? Like, what does intentional living look like for Mariah versus what does it look like for me? It would be really not smart of us to say like, hey, this is the goal is to have X amount of money, because then we're not actually putting the you and what you actually want. And so one of the best things that you can do with your kids is just really show them through experience what's important, what do you value, and then understanding that what the experiences and the things that you value, money, it takes money to purchase that. It's really cool to see that kids already get that at such a young age. They understand that money buys things and you can't live the way that you're living if you don't have money, whether you're living in a bush or whether you're living in a house. And so I think that's just an interesting concept. And my challenge would be, how can we take that one step further and start getting our kids at a young age to start being intentional about what does living look like. And that's where education is really important. That's where there's so many things that are important to elevate that. It's not just you're not just going to teach your 5-year-old that. It's really showing them by behavior. But that's my initial thoughts on that, Claire.
Right. And something that comes to my mind when we look at one of our lead wealth coaches, Jeremy, he does a really good job of describing needs-based and wants-based. And what we're seeing here is that kids are observing that our needs-based have to be met by money. But here at BetterWealth, intentional living doesn't just include the need-based. It includes the want-based. It's what do we want for our life? And that's what's really missing from the answers of these kids. Not that at 3 years old or 5 years old they'd be able to answer that, but it would be really neat to start seeing children at 5 years old be able to articulate, you know, money pays for our house and our cars, but it also allows us to have family time, which is cherishing for our family.
What's interesting, and again, it would be interesting to see what your kids say, because I don't know what the financial situation, I don't know where this is being filmed, but most of what they're saying in both in part 1 and part 2 are needs-based. Food, car.
Other than the kids with the cigarettes.
Well, you know, that could be a need depending on where you are. So it's one of those things where that it's interesting that those are the answers. I would be curious if you asked someone who's like in a very wealthy part of, you know, Colorado, what they would say. Money, maybe they don't, this is an interesting thought. They might not even be able to connect the dots because these kids might know more about what money does because it's more real for them. I don't know. This is interesting, and I'm excited to start launching more kids and money topics because one of the big problems that we have in our country is no one understands money, and the financial illiteracy is huge. We're going to do something about it.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think this video really highlights and just where we are as an economy right now and being in debt. And this video doesn't talk about debt, but what it does talk about is the importance of money. And our kids, you know, the reason why it's called Kids Say the Darndest Things is because usually they speak the truth based off of it. It's not what we want them to say, but it's definitely what is the most, they spill out what they know or what they observe. And so if these kids are primarily seeing that money is only used to buy, we look at our society, and our society has, you know, we constantly say it. They don't have a savings problem. They don't have a money problem. They have a
consumption problem.
And so when we talk about the importance of money, I think it's really good to highlight with your kids that, yes, money takes care of our needs based, and highlight those for your kids. What are those need based for your family? And then it also takes care of our want base, and really just what is a want? What is a want for our family? Why do we know that money can do that for us and allow us to have those blessings? And the difference between needs-based and wants-based is really an important lesson for your kids, no matter how old.